don't have to turn your camera on. I know it's early in the morning, but if you don't mind, we'd appreciate it. Okay, let's see who else we got here. Sandy, good morning.
Hi, how are you this morning?
Oh, I am wonderful. Thanks for asking. And Ruthie?
Yes, good morning.
And let's see, Carter, good to see you.
Good morning.
Welcome back. Who else is here? Julie, good morning. And Helen?
Helene.
Helene, okay. I missed the extra E there.
No worries.
Welcome, Helene. Thanks for joining us. Oh, I see Diane.
Good morning.
Diane or Deanne?
It's Diane.
Diane, okay.
Without the E, and
Okay.
I'm outside gardening.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, it's warmer where you are than where I am. It's 38 in North Carolina, so it's a little chilly this morning.
Well, it's chilly here in Florida, but it feels good.
Okay. Let's see. I think I have heard from everyone. Anyone here that hasn't said hello or I haven't called your name? Okay, good. I think I got everybody. We usually take the first 4 to 5 minutes to give people time to log in, make sure their technology is working. Let's see, I think somebody was just coming in. Oh, Debbie? Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Oh, there you are. Okay, welcome. So again, I think I've heard from everybody, which is the main thing, to make sure that everybody's microphone is working so I can hear you when you have questions and comments. Again, if you want to turn your cameras on, that would be great, but it's certainly not required. All right. So we've got Max here to help us. Max is from our support group at Get Set Up. So he's going to be monitoring the chat and helping out with the class. Max, if you want to unmute and say hi.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with some of the housekeeping. We may have a few more people join us before we're done here, but we do want to get started since we are 5 minutes in. So let me start by sharing my screen. And then I'll move your pictures over here where I can see everyone on my separate monitor over here. So when you see me over here, I'm looking at the pictures. I'm not staring out the window. It's a beautiful day out though. It's nice and sunny, so it would be a nice day to stare out the window. All right. And I will be muting frequently, probably whenever there's any background noise that comes up. So just remember to check your microphone and see if you are muted before you ask your questions. If you are muted, just unmute and ask away. You don't need to raise your hand or anything. Just go ahead and unmute and ask as you have questions or if you have a comment you want to make. And certainly we hope you'll do that. And I'm also going to open the chat. So if you are having trouble with your microphone, you can use the chat and get to us that way as well. All right, and let me see. All right, very good. Okay, so that's the housekeeping preliminary information. Let's go ahead and get started. So this is Mastering Google Calendar. I want to thank you all for attending. Thanks for coming up early in the morning for a lot of you. My name is Wade Yarber, and I'll be the guide for the session today. I'm from a little town in Tennessee called Mason, Tennessee, just about 35 miles outside of Memphis. I have a degree in psychology, but I've also had a minor in computer science, and I've kind of bounced back and forth between both those areas. I spent most of my working career, though, installing hospital information systems and training the nurses and doctors how to use those systems. So I've had a lot of experience training adults. But what I really love about teaching here with Get Set Up is that I'm training adults that are here because you want to be here. You signed up for the class as opposed to being told to attend the class by your employer. And that's what we try to do at Get Set Up, is to create an environment where you can come and learn things you want to learn and interact with other people and with the guide in the process. So we try to make it an interactive, fun experience for everybody. The session is being recorded, and any participant can request a copy of that recording. I'm going to put this email address in the chat as well. If you don't have that email address in your email contacts, that would be a good one to put in. There's lots of reasons you may want to send emails to help@getsetup.io. We'll talk about that during the closing at the end of class. We also are live streaming the class today. So anyone that's joining us via live stream, we want to certainly welcome you to the class as well. Thanks for joining us and hope you enjoy the class. I do want to stress, though, that the best way to experience classes is to register for a class. And that way you can ask questions of the guide and interact with the other learners here, get that full get set up experience. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid to promote products. We are purely trainers. All of our revenue comes from our training activities. Okay, so in terms of agenda and objectives, by the end of the class, you should know how to add and manage multiple calendars. I think that's one of the strengths of Google Calendar compared to some of the others. Know how to add events to your calendar, invite guests to the event, set notifications so you don't forget about events on your calendar, and how to also add additional things to your calendars called reminders and tasks. So let's get into the agenda. Accessing Google Calendar. In order to access Google Calendar, you have to have a Google account. Hopefully you already have a Google account. And there's two different versions of Google Calendar. There's the browser version. That's what we're going to be using today. You can access that from any device that can bring up a browser, and from any browser that you're using, Chrome, Safari, whatever. And that's the full functioning version of Google Calendar is what we're going to use today, because there's functions and features in the browser version that you don't have in the app version. You can also download an app for your smartphone or your tablet from the iPhone store or the Google Play Store and use the app, but it's going to look different than what I'm going to be showing you on the browser. So if you're trying to follow along using the app, it's going to be difficult. So you may just want to watch my screen and see how it works. We're going to go to show you how you would get in. So if you're new to Google, just go to www.google.com. And from there, you can sign up for Google if you don't have an account. If you do have an account and you're not signed in, you can sign in from there. Once you're signed in, it'll give you access to this icon up here, which is sometimes called the 9-dot icon. Some people also call it the waffle, since it looks a little bit like holes in a waffle. That is how you get to all the different Google apps. And we do have a class called Introduction to Google Apps, where we go over all these different apps that you have access to with your free Google account. But today we're going to just focus on Google Calendar. And so it's right here. So I'm going to click Google Calendar, and that opens up my Google Calendar.
Wait, did you say the waffle will show the accounts that you are in on, or all the products?
It'll show all the apps for the account that you're logged in under.
Okay.
Yeah. And if that may be slightly different if you have a personal Google account versus a corporate Google account, but there's not really much difference. I'm in under my Get Set Up account right now, but what I see under the waffle menu is pretty much the same as I see on my personal account.
Okay.
So if you're using a phone or a laptop, it would be different.
If you're using the app, if you're using a tablet, like if you're on an iPad and you open your browser, it should look pretty much like this.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a tablet now, so I can't really use it right now because you're teaching. Would I be able to use my phone, watch you, and then do stuff on my phone?
From the phone, you'll be on the app, and so it's going to look very different. So,
Oh, okay.
best thing
All right, I'll
maybe,
just have to look. I'll just look.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, best thing would be to just watch and
Yeah.
understand what it is, and and then you can get a copy of the recording if you want to go back and play that again while you have your browser up and try some of the things out.
Okay.
Excuse me, but
Sure.
how do I know if I have the browser or the app?
Well, if you've got a browser open, and so a browser is how you get to the internet. So you're on the browser version.
Can you open the browser version on your phone? Because you can get to a Chrome on your phone.
You can, but that's a slightly different version of the browser, so it's probably not going to look quite the same, even though it's a browser on the phone. If you're on a tablet, it usually is pretty close to the same. But certainly if you're on a laptop or a computer, whether it's Mac or Windows, then you should be seeing the same thing that you're seeing on my calendar, on my screen.
Is it going to be different if your account is from a nonprofit?
Nope,
organization?
it should look the same.
Okay.
There may be some differences in here in terms of the apps, but once you're into a calendar, it's going to be the same calendar.
And you'll have the same functions, or okay.
Yeah. Okay. And again, but there's lots of functions in the browser versions that aren't in the app version. Okay, so and that's kind of a good segue. Let's talk about all the stuff on the browser screen, because as you can see, there's lots of stuff here. That's why it's going to look different on a phone. You can't see all of this because the phone screen is so small. There's no way to show you all the things that you can see on my browser. So let's just start up here in the upper left corner. And there's a icon up here. Sometimes it's called a hamburger. Looks a little bit like a hamburger. If you click this, it collapses that left-hand panel. So normally you're going to want that open. Sometimes this gets clicked by mistake. And so if you come in and you don't have that left-hand panel, just click this icon again and it'll bring it back. We'll talk about what's over here in a minute. The next thing over here are these two arrows. And if you hover over any of the icons, it will tell you what it does next week, previous week. This is how you move out in time or back in time. So if I'm wanting to see what's going on in May, I can click out here to May and look at my calendar for May. If I've gone way out and I want to go back to today, I could click my way back one click at a time, but you can also click today and that will take you back to the week that has the current day. The current day is highlighted in blue, so you can see what the day is. If you're like me, sometimes they run together these days. Over here is how you determine what span of days is on your screen. I've got mine set to a week. You can show a single day, or you can go out to a month. Month is a little hard to read. You can't see everything on your calendar, but sometimes it's good if you're looking for a day where you got nothing, which is a little hard for me these days, but you can kind of see a full month. It even has a year view, but at the year view, it's like looking at a calendar on the wall. You really can't see anything that's going on in any of these days in terms of viewing it. So I usually leave mine at week. That seems to work best for the browser version. For the phone, 3-day view, I think is the standard.
How did you get the little blue indicator that you said?
This?
No, the vertical line. You said, like I thought you said it helped you to tell the different days apart. That little, is that?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I think it's the color of your, like where it says trip to Mason, you've got a little blue.
Oh, no, that's just anything that's up at the top like this is an all-day event. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay, but some of them don't seem to have like that. I don't know, like your flight, the red ones don't have that, but
yeah, that doesn't mean anything. That's just It's
Okay,
that way.
sorry.
Yeah, that's not anything you said or has any, tells you anything. It's just, the way those look. I think it's because my default color is blue, and this just has the black over the top of the blue, and a little bit it shows over.
Oh, okay.
But
Thank you.
there's no meaning to that.
Got it.
Sure. Okay. Over here on the right-hand side, there's a panel, and there's a couple of different apps here, and we're going to go into to one of these a little later. But these are apps that you can open while you're still in your calendar. I'll open this. We're going to go and explain it later, but just to show you what that does. So this is my task. So I can open my task and see them without ever leaving my calendar. So this is a little different. Up here, if I click on one of these, like if I click on my Gmail, it opens a whole different tab. And now my Gmail's over here. I've left my calendar tab. Here, I never leave my calendar tab. I stay in the same tab. If you're not seeing these, there's a little control down at the bottom that says hide the side panel. You can toggle that to turn that side panel on and off. If you don't use it, you can turn it off, get it out of your way if it annoys you. If you do use it, you can leave it turned on. All right. So let's go over to the left-hand panel. There's a create button here. We'll talk about this later, but this is how you can create events and tasks and reminders. This is your current month. So this is handy to keep to see where you are. You can also use this. I showed you how to navigate with the weekly navigation. I can also click a day here in the current month and go straight to that day. And then if I want to come back to today, I can either click here or click up here on today. Both of them do the same thing. So this is one way to navigate around within the time period that shows up, and it usually shows you, a little more than a month. So if I wanted to book something for April 4th, I could click here and or come down here for May 4th and click there. So just another way to navigate. You can navigate here, or you can navigate by clicking up here. Google does that a lot. It gives you different ways to do the same thing, just whichever one makes most sense to you. Okay. All right, so let's go down. This is kind of getting into the real heart of the calendar. These are your calendars.
I'm sorry. On mine. I don't see underneath the month. You have meet with and then a search.
That's one of the things, because this is a corporate calendar. So you probably don't see this. You may not see this on a personal calendar.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and then it underneath it looks the same as yours after that.
Yep. So you can kind of ignore this if you're on a personal one. Okay. So yeah, let's go down to the bottom where it says my calendars. And typically you should see these same 4 calendars. This is the default. That for your calendar, Google starts you out with 4 calendars. And these are all sub calendars within your main calendar. If you have more than one Google account, for instance, I have a personal account and a work account, you have a calendar with each account that you've got. So I have a separate calendar for my personal Google account, different from my work calendar, which is with that Google account. So it has a calendar. It has a birthday calendar. And what the birthday calendar is that if you use Google Contacts, and that's another app up here, Google Contacts. So if you use Google Contacts and if you put birth dates in that calendar, then those birthdays will show up automatically. Let me go find my brother's birthday. Here's my brother's birthday, March 9th. You see it has a little birthday cake here with his, and it's green. Everything is color coded. I'll show you how to change those in a minute. So that's one way to kind of find things. Google does a lot with colors. So I didn't have to put that on my calendar by virtue of the fact I had his birthday in his contact card. It automatically shows up. Now, if you don't use Google Contacts, no problem. You could put that birthday in manually. It just saves you a step if you happen to use Google Contacts. Does that make sense? Okay. The other two things we're going to talk about more at the end of class, but I'll just call them out here. There's things called reminders. For instance, here I have a reminder to take out the trash. And then you can create tasks. And I don't think I have a task showing, but we'll go and we'll create one later in the class. So, but these are the three things that show up on your calendar. These are called events. And these are typically things where you're meeting with someone else. There's more than one person involved. Tasks and reminders, which are typically things you're doing yourself, as opposed to something that you're doing with another person. Let me go and show you about the colors. All of these, you'll notice, have a little triple dot box over here. And if I click on that, I can change the default color. So right now, all of my events are this color. If I decide I want them to be this color instead, it changes here. It changes them on my calendar. I'm going to put it back because I don't like that color, but I'll put it back to my blue. You can also turn any of these on and off. I can click this off. It'll take those events off my calendar. I click it back, it puts them back on. If I want to not show the reminders, if I click here, that reminder that was up here has gone away. When I click it back on, it comes back. So those are your basic parts of your calendar. Questions before I move down to the next part?
Yes, I have one regarding the colors. When I have something important, it'll show up in the individual days events. And sometimes I want to change the color, or I went in to edit it, edit the task or the event. And in edit mode, the color that would appear normally, I'm on a Galaxy S20 Plus. And sometimes I can change the color too. But sometimes the color just, in edit mode, the color just disappears. The little color indicator. And I'm wondering why.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. So you're using the app on your phone?
Yes, this is on my.
So again, that works differently, and it works different between Android and iPhone. So I have an iPhone instead of an Android, but I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Sorry. But you did mention one thing I'll go ahead and bring up, though, is that, this is the default color for all the events. So any event I create is blue, but you can change the color of any event if you want to. So maybe I want to make this event be a different color. I can just right click and then change the color of that one event. And I do that in my calendar, in fact, because I have, oops. Blue is for my classes that I'm teaching. And when I have a meeting, I change it to be gray. So I can just look at my calendar and tell my meetings from my classes. So that's another way you can kind of organize your calendar by color. You have to do that manually, but you can do that.
Yes, I should mention, I share my calendar with my son. And so I try to avoid certain colors that he uses. And like red is for his military commitments, but for some important events, I try to use like a purple color or some, and sometimes when I realize there's something important, I went into edit. It's in the edit mode that I can't change.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with that, since again, I don't have that phone, so I don't have any experience with it. So I can't really help you troubleshoot that. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm a little confused about the different, under my calendars, the different options. So I see reminders and tasks. But with the birthdays, are you saying you have to do something special to get them in a separate calendar?
No, you don't have a birthdays calendar showing here?
No.
Okay, I'll show you how to turn that on. It usually is turned on by default, but if it's not, I'll show you how to turn it on.
Great.
Okay, which is where we're going next. This other section down here is called Other Calendars. And this is typically empty. It may have the holidays in there already, but these are additional calendars you can add. And for example, I've got several. There's this is a work calendar. These are holidays in the United States, phases of the moon. And then this is my personal calendar. I mentioned I got 2 Google accounts. I've got a personal account and a work account. And here I've brought in my personal account. So everything in the red is from my personal account. So let me show you how you can add other calendars.
Wade, I'm sorry. I have a question.
Sure.
I have someone who uses Calendly. I was going to sign up for that, but can you merge Calendly with the Google calendars? Because if somebody wants to put their information or they want to address my time, they can set it up, and let's say I have 10 o'clock open, they can put their name in, and I know that they want to see me or talk about something at 10, but I might not remember to go back to the Calendly. So just like you have your business calendar and your personal calendar, can Calendly, it might be a different app, can that be merged with Google Calendar?
I'm not familiar with that one. These other calendars that you bring in, like this personal calendar, it's basically view only, so I can see these things that are here, but I can't edit them.
Oh, or I guess I could put them in manually.
Yep, you might be able to do that. So if you bring in another calendar, you can see what's on that calendar, but I don't, this Google calendar, this is my work calendar. It doesn't own these events that are in my personal calendar. So I can't edit them. I can't delete them. I can just see them.
Okay, thank you.
So
I actually had the same question. I mean, there's a lot of apps that are, have separate kind of scheduling tools. And I mean, there's Doodle, there's, Calendly, as was mentioned. And so I'm wondering if maybe it's on the other side that we need to check to see if there's like an export or something that connects them that would, because it sounds like it would be, so much work to have to recreate all of them.
Okay, well, let me show you and hold that question until I get done here, because this may answer some of your questions. So let me show you how I brought in this personal calendar and how you can bring in another calendar. So to do that, you click the plus here where it says add other calendars. And there's several different types. If you're bringing in another Google Calendar, you just you subscribe to it. So I'm going to click subscribe to calendar. And let's say I want to bring in my wife's calendar. So I would just enter the email address for that calendar. And hit enter. And it tells me I don't have access to this calendar because I don't own this calendar. She does. If I want to see her calendar, I'll need to request access, and I can add a message here explaining why I want to access her calendar and click here. And if she agrees and grants me access, then it would now show up, and I'm not going to request this because she doesn't use Google Calendar, but that would now show up as another calendar down here with a different color, and I would now be able to see everything on her calendar. And sometimes families do that because maybe if there's 2 or 3 people in the family and you're trying to schedule an event, if you can see everybody's calendar, you would maybe normally have it turned off so you don't see their calendar. But if you're trying to schedule something, you could turn that on and look for a time that everybody has free. It's one scenario, but so you could have your 2 calendars of your own, but you may want to add in other people's calendars as well. And if it's a Google Calendar, it's very simple. You just click here and subscribe. Now, if someone else or even you have a separate calendar that's a Apple Calendar, a Yahoo Calendar, an Outlook Calendar, you can bring those in as well. So you can bring in calendars from other vendors. It's more complicated. And there's an email coming out after class. And in there, I've got instructions how to bring in an Apple Calendar, a Yahoo Calendar, and a Microsoft Calendar. because what you have to do is you have to get a URL from that calendar, and how you do that depends on that manufacturer. What you then do from over here, you create a calendar from URL. So you would click this and you would just paste in that URL that you got from Yahoo or Apple or Outlook and add that calendar. So let me go back into here again. So that's adding a Google Calendar, or if you want to add a non-Google Calendar, you have to go through another process and get that URL and put it in here. Google also provides calendars of interest, they call them. For instance, I've got this Phases of the Moon. That is a calendar of interest. If you click this, it'll show you the different calendars. And here's birthdays. And it's clicked. That's why I'm seeing it. So I think if you're not seeing birthdays, you can probably click this and it'll bring that birthday calendar over. It's got all sorts of holidays. For instance, I've got holidays in the US is in mine. I think that's automatic, but if you want to see holidays in some other country, you can come down and pick from any of these different countries. Wait, here's holidays in the United States is how that one's showing up on my calendar. But if you want to see others, you can put those on there as well. And then down, if you're a sports person, you can add sports calendars to yours. So if you're a baseball fan and you follow the Atlanta Braves, you can click here and add the Atlanta Braves game schedule to your calendar. So lots of different calendars of interest that you can add in, especially if you're into sports. Here's the Phases of the Moon calendar that I've got. So those are all calendars of interest. Here's the Phase of the Moon up here. Full moon is on the 28th at 2:48 p.m.
Is there a limit to how many you can have on?
There probably is at some point, but not that I know of. I think
it'll just keep stacking them.
Yeah, at some point it may get so busy you can't see it. But again, remember, you can turn these off. If I don't want to see any of these, I can turn these off. So I don't see them all the time, and I can just turn them on if I want to see that. So even if you've got a lot out there, you can control it by turning them on and off on the side. So questions about other calendars? It's a little complicated, but it's one of the real strengths of Google. It gives you lots of flexibility about adding other calendars and managing multiple calendars. Okay. If not, let's go ahead. We've been talking about calendars so far. We haven't done anything with our calendar. Let's actually put something on the calendar. And this is probably a little simpler for everybody because it works very similar to any other calendar that you've used. But let's say I want to set up a meeting for Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. Two ways I can do that. I can click where I want the meeting to be, or I can click up here to do the add. The advantage of clicking where you want it is it automatically puts in the date and time. So it already has April 3rd at 10 o'clock. If you click the create, it puts the current date and time. So you'd have to go in and manually change these. You can do that easy enough. You click here and it gives you a calendar and you can pick the right day. But this is usually the quickest way to do it. It brings up kind of a shortcut to creating events. I'm going to click the more options down here and show you all the options you have since we want to talk through the whole thing. But usually you don't have to open it up. You can just do it with that quick schedule. So you put the name of the event. And it has the date and time here. You can change it, and maybe you want to change the duration. Maybe it's only going to be a 30-minute meeting instead of an hour-long meeting. So you can change that here. Or you can make it an all-day meeting. And as I mentioned, I'll show you that again. If you put all-day meeting, it'll put it up at the top of the calendar instead of down in the calendar, meaning that it covers that entire day. And you can do repeating meetings. This is common with a lot of other calendars, but it's really flexible. You can say we're going to meet weekly, monthly, annually, and you could even go in and set up all sorts of custom schedule. So maybe you're going to meet Monday, Thursday, and Saturday every other week. So lots of ways to set up custom recurring events. I'm going to have it just be a one-time event, does not repeat. Add Google Meet video conferencing. Google Meet is Google's version of Zoom. So if you want that to be a virtual meeting, you can click this and it'll create a virtual event. And when you invite people to the class, it'll send them a link, just like you clicked on a link to join this meeting. They can click on a link to join the Google Meet. I'm not going to use Google Meet. This is going to be a face-to-face meeting. If you don't use Google Meet or it's a face-to-face meeting, just ignore this. It'll be here, but you don't have to do anything with it. Instead, I'm going to add a physical location where the meeting's going to be. And this uses Google Maps. So when you start typing, it will go ahead and start giving you addresses that match what you've typed. And it knows where you are, so it gives you the closest ones first. And this is the one I want. So I don't have to type out that whole address. I can just type far enough for Google Maps to give me the right one and click, and it adds the whole address in. And in the invitation that I send out, it will send a link to Google Maps. So if someone I've invited to the meeting doesn't know where this location is, they can click and it'll bring up Google Maps to show them how to get there.
Excuse me, Wade, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Will it give you an indication on your phone in case you don't remember it? Will it give you a beep?
That's what we're going to do right here. These are notifications.
Great, thank you.
So by default, and you set the default in your settings, I've got this one set to give me a beep 10 minutes before the meeting. And that notification is based on which device. So actually on my laptop, it'll pop up over here and tell me. And on my phone, it's going to ding. So you define on the device, how it notifies you. But I can add additional notifications. I can say, this is a really important meeting, so I want to get an email 2 days before the meeting, just to remind me that it's coming up. So now I've added an email 2 days before and a notification 10 minutes before. And you can keep adding notifications. You can have another notification 30 minutes before the meeting, etc. So you can set as many or as few notifications, and you can make them either device notifications or emails.
Wade, can you also add a different email other than your Gmail account?
If you can, I don't know how to do that.
Okay, I wondered. I haven't been able to figure out a way.
Yeah, I haven't ever seen a way to do that. So I think probably not. It's going to go to the Google, the Gmail account associated with this calendar. Yeah. So I'm going to, if you change your mind about one of them, you can take it out. So let's scroll down. Here's where you can add a description of the event, and you can attach documents. So let's say this meeting is to review a document. So I can go out and find that document. And if I'm using Google Drive, I can go out to my Google Drive and so we're going to talk about this spreadsheet. So I just add that spreadsheet and I can put a description. So to let the person know what the meeting's about and give them a copy in advance of the document we're going to be looking at. And that's pretty much setting up the meeting. The next thing is to add guests. And if they're in your contacts, you can just pick them from here. So for instance, there's my wife and she's already in the contact. So I could just click this and she's now been added. I can keep adding more people. I'm going to send an email. I can invite myself at my Yahoo account. I'm going to do that so I can show you what those look like. So you can add as many people as you want to the event. And then hit save. Questions before I hit save?
Yeah. Can you go back to the repeating option one more time? So I haven't been able to find, if I've got a meeting that's twice a week, but on one day it's at 9 and the other day it's at 11. I can't find a way to like specify the time separately.
Yeah, I don't, that one may be beyond what it can do.
Okay. So I have
'Cause
to
you
just
want it to
create
meet
two
on
separate.
Tuesday is the first week, and then Thursday the next week, and then back to Tuesday, and then back to Thursday. If I won't say it can't be done, but I don't know a way to do that one.
I didn't even need that. I just needed, it's the same days every week, but not the same times on those days.
Oh, yeah, no, it's
No.
the only
just
way I
create
know how to do
separate
it.
meeting, yeah.
The time is the same. I can say we're going to meet on Tuesdays and Fridays, but it's going to be the same time on Tuesday. I can't. So you want to meet at 9 o'clock on Tuesdays and at 1 o'clock on Fridays?
Right.
Yeah.
And
I don't.
is there any kind of polling feature like there is on these other, separate scheduling apps? Like, so you can, before you create the meeting, you can, ask people what the best time for the meeting for them is?
I don't think that's part of the basic calendar. There's probably an add-in or a separate app you'd have to do for that.
Okay.
And I'm always reluctant to say do something because there's so many options in here. There could be something I've never seen, but I've never seen that one.
And do you know if there are other classes on like the interfaces?
They're not, but I'll show you how you can request those classes at the end of
Okay.
class.
Thank you.
Sure. Let's go ahead and save this one.
Wait,
Uh-huh.
wait, I have a question.
Yeah, Josie.
I'm trying to, excuse me, pull the guest, add the guest, and I'm not able to get any contact. Am I doing something? I wasn't connected to the contact maybe?
Well, maybe if they're not in your contacts, you can just enter an email.
Okay, but I'm not able to pull anybody. So,
do you have Google Contacts created?
yes, what is that?
This is only pulling from your Google Contacts. But even if they're not in your Google Contact, if you can just type in their email address and invite them.
Okay.
But yeah, if they're in your Google Contacts, as you start typing, it should start popping up like here, it's found 2 in my contacts. And
right.
Wade 1. Yeah. So if you're not seeing this, then I would guess they're not in your contacts.
Okay.
And you can go up here to contacts and check that and see.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right, so let's save this because I want to move forward. We got a couple of things I want to make sure we cover before we run out of time. So I'm going to go and save this. It asked me, do I want to send invitations? And I'm going to say yes, send invitations. And this, since it's a corporate account, it says some of these people don't have a corporate account. And so I need to do a couple of things because this is a corporate account that you won't have to do. All right. And now there's the meeting out here on my calendar. And like I said, if I want to make this a different color, I can change this and make it be a different color if it has a certain type of meeting. I can also edit the meeting. So maybe I decided that it needed to be an hour long after all. You can always come back in, click the pencil, and change it to be to 11, 10 to 11 instead. I can save this. Now, do you want to send updates to the people and you do want to update those people? Please add a message here as to what changed. I hate getting updates to meetings and they don't tell me what's changed and I can't figure out what's changed. So tell them you changed the time, you changed the date, you add in an attachment, whatever you've done, and then send out an update. And so now I've changed it and I've sent invitation updates to everybody that was attending the meeting. One other shortcut I'll show you, and then we'll move on. If you're changing the time, so maybe my wife calls back and says, I can't do it at 10 o'clock, let's move it to noon. You can just grab it and drag it down to noon and drop it, and it's going to change it. I'm not going to send this one. I don't keep sending emails to my wife for a meeting that's not really a real meeting. But it's very easy to change the date and time just by dragging and dropping. Okay. Any other questions around the calendar?
With those changes, do you get any kind of notification that they've read the update, or?
You don't get a notification of that. No, you do get a notification if they're going to attend the meeting or not. It shows you down here. So when they get the email, it has that attending, yes, no, maybe. And once they click yes, no, or maybe, it'll show up down here if they're coming or not. And so you can see who's replied and who hasn't replied. So if somebody hasn't replied, you can say, hey, I sent you an invitation. I never heard back from you. Are you coming or not?
I see. Or if your change makes it so they can't attend, they would say no, and you'd get that back.
They would say, yeah, they would say no. And then you can maybe call and say, hey, sorry, you're not coming. What's the problem? Yeah.
Thanks.
But that's but that feedback shows up here.
A question.
Uh-huh.
On the Android, there is no cursor that I can drag when I want to change the time. So you're on a desktop computer?
Yep. On the desktop, it'll do this again. This can be different on the app on a phone. So some of the things I'm showing you won't work on the phone. You'll have to go in and just edit it. Okay, so we got two other things I want to cover, and we're just about out of time, but these are much easier to talk about than the ones we've already talked about. So far we talked about events. I also want to talk about how you can set a reminder. And so let me show you how to do that. And so let's see, I need a reminder to, well, I'm just going to put something out here. For Saturday morning, I want to make sure I water the plants because it's been really dry. So I'm going to put a reminder here on my calendar. So I'm going to click here. We've been doing events so far, but I want to create a reminder. So I click here. And now I'm going to put what the reminder is. And again, like an event, I can make it repeat if I want to. So if I'm going to do this every Saturday at 9 o'clock, I can make this a repeating event. I can make it an all-day event, or I can have it be at a certain time. You can tell that there's a lot fewer things you have to enter to create a reminder. You basically put what the name of it is, and if you want it to repeat or not, or if it's all day or not, and then you save it. And there's my reminder to water the plants. So
how did you get to reminder?
Could you repeat that?
Yep, I'll do it again. So let me, let's do another one. Well, let me I'll show you how to delete. I haven't shown you how to delete. If you want to delete something, whether it's an event or a reminder, you can just delete it. So, and I made that recurring, so I'm going to delete. You can delete just that one, or you can delete all the recurring ones. And it's the same for events as it is for reminders. So I'm going to wipe it totally out. So let's do that again. So you just go to 9 o'clock on when you want to do it. It defaults to event. And this is a corporate account, so you won't have out of office and appointment slots. You'll just have event, task, and reminder, but just click reminder. And that now makes it a reminder instead of an event. And save it. And so it has a different color, and it has this little emblem of like a finger with a string tied around it. It's a little hard to see what that icon is, but that lets you know that it's a reminder, not an event.
So you go to Saturday the 3rd. You go down to what time you want it to be done.
Uh-huh.
And then you click on there's event, task, and reminder. You click on reminder.
Mm-hmm. That's all it takes.
All right.
Okay.
But it can be an all-day reminder too, right? I mean,
Yeah, so maybe I want to water the plants, but I don't care if I do it at 9 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So let me edit it and say, let's just make this an all-day event. And so now here, water the plants is up here, which I had the same thing for take out the trash. I need to take it out before midnight. So it's there the next morning, but it doesn't matter when I take out the trash. I just got to take out the trash. So that's what this would do. It would put it up here and let you know you need to do it sometime on that day.
Does the calendar let you know when your reminder comes up?
It will it will ding on your phone. Yeah. Now, and when you're done, this is one thing different than an event. You don't have a way to say that the event happened or not. But here, after I've taken the trash out, I can mark it as done, and it's marked it now. So I got to remind a information that, yeah, I did that thing that I was supposed to do.
So Wade, if you want to see that a meeting was done, you can actually change your events to reminders, right? Say that it was done.
I don't know. Well, oh, well, this is not a real one. I don't know that you can change it. No, you can't change it once you've created it. So there's no way to change that to a reminder.
Okay, thank you.
Can you add another reminder for the same day? I'd like to see what happens up there. If you have 2 or 3 reminders for the same day and any
Just stack them.
If it's an all day, when does it ding?
Oh, yes, I see.
That's a good question. I'm not sure when that happens. That's a good question. It's probably going to ding, hopefully not at midnight, but yeah, good question.
That wouldn't do much good, right? That's,
yeah. Okay. All right. And we got like 2 minutes left, but questions about the reminder? I'm going to show you one other one, and I apologize. We're running a little bit late, but again, this one's fairly simple to show as well. But let's say I need to take the car to the shop at 10 o'clock to get some work done. You can also create what's called a task, and tasks are a little more complicated than reminders. Reminders are really simple, but if there's more involved and I need to add some more information, I can do a task. Because what I can do here is I can add a description. Up here, there was no way to put any other information, so I can put here I need to change oil, rotate the tires, I need wiper blades. So you can put more information in a task than you can in a reminder. I can make it an all-day event as well. And you can have more than one task list. So I've got several different task lists, so you can keep different task lists. So tasks are a little more complicated, but not as complicated as an event. So I've got my task to take the car to the shop. I know what I need to do. I can read this off when I'm at the auto shop and tell them what needs to be done. So I can save this. And here's my task. So again, 3 ways to do things. You can do them all with events. I mean, I could create an event saying, take the car to the shop. So if I just prefer to do everything with events, that's fine. If you want to use these other ways, that's fine as well. So it's not like you have to do reminders and tasks and events, but it's just different tools that Google gives you to work with.
What's the website for the appointments for these classes, please?
What was that?
What is the website for these classes? You know, the different classes. What's the website?
Okay, we're going to go there right now. So, because we've got 4 minutes left, so I do need to go ahead and wrap up the class and go to the closing, and we'll talk about that in the closing. Okay. So this is the actual class, and I do want to thank you for attending the class and hope you enjoyed it and learned some things about the Google Calendar that you didn't know. There's a couple of related classes. I mentioned this one, Introduction to Google Apps, where it talks about all the different apps that are out there, what they do. So this is a great class if you're new to Google. If you don't have an account, they walk you through how to set up an account and a lot of basic information about your Google account. And then we also have a getting started with Gmail, which is a nice companion to Google Calendar as well. So after class, there'll be an email coming out. It'll have some takeaways and there'll be some links in there. I mentioned there'll be links to show you how to bring in an Apple Calendar and an Outlook Calendar and a Yahoo Calendar. There'll be some other information covering a lot of the things we talked about in class, as well as some related things we didn't talk about in class. So look for those links in that email. There'll be links to 3 other classes. These are just shortcuts to sign up for classes. If you see one of those that looks interesting, you can just click it here. It'll take you right to the registration page. There's a give feedback link, which opens up our feedback page. 2 questions: rate the class 1 to 5 stars, rate the guide 1 to 5 stars. You can add comments here, not required, but greatly appreciated, and hit done. So very quick feedback form. We do hope you're enjoying your classes that get set up, and there's ways to get more involved if you would like to do that. Certainly by spreading the word, by letting your friends know about get set up.
The website, you still didn't tell me.
Okay, I'm going to get there. Let me put it in. I'll put it in the chat though, so you'll have it here. And you can just copy it out of there. So I just put it in the chat, is the website.
I don't see it.
Oops, sorry. I sent it to one person. Let me put it to everybody. All right.
The classes are all close to each other that I want to do. It's very hard to, how do you space it out?
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
In the chat? And I'm going to go to that website in just a minute. All right.
Did you hear what I said? The classes are all close to each other the same day. It's very hard to.
Yeah, there's. Okay. All right. So yeah, so we're going to go there. Just 1 second. Okay. So again, let me see if there's anything else here we need to go over, because I think we've covered everything else in here. Again, just here's the email again. The other thing I was going to mention, if there's a class that you'd like to see, you want us to offer, like maybe an intermediate calendar class, Google Calendar intermediate class to pick up and go a little deeper, you can send an email to help@getsetup.io and give us the classes you'd like to see us offer as well. So let's go to the last link in the email, and the email will have a link to this website as well, Nancy. So if you, from that email, if you just click View Schedule, that will take you to the calendar, to our website, where you can book another class.
You view schedule at the getsetup.io. Is that where you use the calendar?
Yep. So this takes you to the website. Can you see where we are? So this is where you can book new additional classes. So you can, and this I think is what you were looking at. This shows you the classes by calendar, by date. So if you want to know what classes we're offering tomorrow, you can just click on Saturday the 3rd, and this will show you all the classes that we're offering tomorrow. If you see a class you want to take, you can just click book, and that you can register for that class. You can also look for classes by type of class, by category of classes. So if you're looking for information about technology, like what we're doing today, you can click here and it'll show you all the technology classes. And you can, again, just click book if there's something that looks interesting. If you want to learn about password managers, click here and it'll take you to where you can book that. Now, one thing that we've added in the new website is if you'd like to take a class with a friend, maybe you have a friend and you want to both go and take this class at the same time, you can tell friends about the class. So if you click here, you can send a link to that same class you're going to be taking to a friend and say, hey, Mary, I'm taking this class. Why don't you sign up for the same time? So we'll be in the same class together, and just send that link. And then they can register for the same class at the same time. All right.
Do they have a phone number for the website?
No.
There's not a way to register for classes via phone. You have to register from the on the website. Okay, so I'm run over by 1 minute, so I do want to go ahead and wrap up. So if anybody's trying to get to another class, they're not late for the class. So again, thank you for attending the class. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some things, and hope to see you again in another class really soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for attending.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Wade. Thank you very much.
Hey, bye-bye. Thanks. Mhm.
Bye.